This morning, a local pro surfer is sharing his personal story, wants to inspire students to stay drug-free.
Alex Gray just wrapped up a speaking tour of the South Bay schools just as the vaping health crisis exploded. Good morning, Alex. Thank you so much for being here with us.
Good morning. Thanks for being here. Hey, the last time that I saw Mark, we were on a little island in Fiji, and I got to give him props. There was like a 10-foot wave.
Guess what?
That he airdropped. Do you have it?
He just happened to
right here.
I was hoping we were going to.
Do you have the photo real quick? We could start with that if you want.
Please do.
So you guys are friends. Let's just let the side note here is you guys are good friends. And I remember this shot. You sent this to me too.
Yeah.
So are you taking the picture?
No, Alex is right there.
Where?
Alex is on his stomach.
Oh
yeah,
my gosh.
I'm right there screaming because I thought we were going to lose our news anchor because what we didn't see was a second before. I was like, oh my God, don't go, don't go. And he went.
And then he did.
I don't know if that was the wave of your life, but it was the highlight of my trip being over there. So that was really fun to experience.
Oh, that's really great.
We do need to give you props, though, because you've been spending a good portion of the past few months speaking to young students about the dangers of vaping. And why is it that you embarked on this?
I was invited by SouthBayFamiliesConnected.org, which is a local South Bay resource website. And a woman invited me to jump on a tour to elementary, middle, and high schools surrounding the new vaping issue. And I also bring in mental health as well. When we started the tour, there was a big false marketing campaign that it was harmless and a substitute. Now, at that time, the death toll was 8. Now it's at 49. So harmless, we take that out. And then a substitute for tobacco cigarettes, and yet those cartridges have at least one package of cigarettes. So I feel like these kids, young adults, maybe just needed education.
Absolutely.
Because me who has already lost, grandparents to tobacco cancer, it's a recycled issue.
Right.
But one that almost is foolish in the sense that they are now marketing it with flavors like cotton candy.
Right.
Towards the children.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I know you guys are smarter than this, but let me be the example. And of course, we had a big breakthrough with the CDC in the THC with the vitamin E acetate oil being part of the harmful 2,000 plus hospitalized lung injuries that have been associated with vaping as well. So, all around harmless substitute, absolutely not. You know, kids are looking at me going, well, I'm using it as a substitute for anxiety, or depression. And that's where I go, hey, there's no quick fix to life. This is what it is. And we need to, start a conversation and be able to go to each other as friends without judgment, stigma, blame, shame, and just talk about it, right? But if it's not that, can you get to a counselor at your school, your faculty, or even an outside therapist? Because everybody deserves a big, long, full life and needs to be pushed away from traps like these vaping devices. I lost an older brother to an opioid overdose, and I know what it was like 15 years ago at the start of that epidemic, which is now killing 135 people a day. So with the kids, I want to say, hey, what avenues can you explore to learn what your goal is in life? What makes your heart sing? And, Mark and I share the common love of surfing. And everybody has something out there that makes them happier than anything that, can deter them from marketing devices such as this vaping, what I hope isn't becoming an epidemic.
So during your tour of these schools and talking to all of these students, did it seem like they were getting it? Did you see the light bulb go on? What was that like?
Well, it's fantastic. Standing in front of 10 to 17-year-olds and capturing their attention is one thing in its own. But kids and young adults have been super receptive. And what's been very nice in social media in the positive aspect is the messages that have come back, and even more so from the parents, getting to hear that the students took it home and began the conversation with their parents for the first time ever. And that for me is like, okay, cool, my work was done. Finally the parents get to be a part of what they're so worried about with their kids getting introduced to.
You had a really tough childhood, though. As you mentioned, you said you lost your brother when you were 12 years old?
I was 17.
You're 17?
I was a senior in high school. So in coming to these schools, it's relatable in that I understand where people are at, where kids are at with curiosity, but also jumping into the unknown where you truly don't understand the consequences of addiction.
Do you worry about the whole THC connection to vaping that kind of takes it to a different level?
Well, they're both in the same category. Nicotine's the most addictive drug on the market. THC, the #1 gateway drug to move into even further drug use. So between the two, both are extremely scary things to begin experimenting with without actually understanding, what it really is. And our CDC, they just found an ingredient that is harmful. There's a lot of unknowns, and there's not too much regulation being made. So we're on the brink of understanding, I think, the severity of what this is. But it's time to really open up the can of worms and allow kids to understand what it is so they can make a choice, rather than follow what everybody's doing. I want everybody to remind themselves that you're an individual and you have the power of choice to walk your path. And let's allow kids to do that rather than push them into this direction and maybe have them end up in a road that they never dreamed of.
Yeah.
That's great tips right there. We were speaking with our floor director earlier, Hillary. She said some student at a school she knew about, a student was suspended for 5 weeks for getting caught with a THC vape pen. Do you think that's an excessive punishment, or is that the reality of what we're living in?
And so what punishment is going to, turn light bulbs on? I think that's where I have so much praise for schools and the faculty. As for what the punishment is, I don't know, but for any school that's allowed me to come speak, that are allowing, their school to not be the stigma that we're the drug school, this and that, but they're realizing that kids are going through this and they want to address it. I applaud any parent or school right now just wanting their kids to, live a happy, full life and understand what these traps of life are.
Thank you so much for coming and sharing your story. We really appreciate it. We want you to know, for more information on Alex, you can find him online at alexgraysurf.com. For more information on talking to kids about vaping, you can also visit southbayfamiliesconnected.org.
Thanks for coming in, man.
Cool.
Good seeing you.
Thank you.
All right.
Do you have time for? Oh wait, don't leave.
We're still on TV.
Dang it, I was going to get a selfie with it.
Come take a picture. We'll be right back. Come on, you come up.